It is common for most people to simply roll over and accept whatever fate deals them, which may be seen as an excuse for mediocrity. Then there are the other type of people, inspirational individuals, leaders, innovators, and creators who have achieved great success. There are these people in the world who take what other people would consider limitations and turn them into superpowers, using them to change the world, bring joy to others' lives, and inspire millions of people around the world, taking a weakness and turning it into a superpower. Welcome to Autism Answers. Our mission is to provide you with informative facts about autism that are easy to digest, as well as to help broaden perspectives regarding autism. In this video, we will introduce you to successful entrepreneurs who are diagnosed with autism. In addition, we will also introduce you to those that are highly likely to have autism. With that out of the way, let's get started. There are very few places where you can find a more classic example of these superheroes than among the leaders who have been diagnosed with, or at least demonstrate the classic symptoms of, autism spectrum disorder. Autism spectrum disorder is a broad term that covers a wide range of unique conditions that affect approximately 1.5 million people in the US and around 700,000 residents of the UK. The conditions range from Asperger's syndrome to autistic disorder, or what is commonly known as classic autism. This is what most people immediately associate with autism when they hear the word autism. In between, there are those with pervasive developmental disorder, not otherwise specified, or atypical autism, the latter term being used to describe a group of individuals who display signs of being on the autism spectrum, but do not meet the full criteria for having been diagnosed with Asperger's or autism spectrum disorder. It is common for people with autism to face a variety of challenges in life, including but not limited to difficulties communicating with others, difficulties maintaining friendships, obsessive interests, repetitive movements, delayed speech and language skills, and obsessive interests. It is important to understand that regardless of the challenges that some of the individuals we're about to meet today have faced because of their ASD, they're not the kind of people who will let those difficulties get in the way of achieving their dreams. Are you ready to be inspired? It's time we dive in and meet the business leaders, intellectuals, artists, and other highly successful people with autism who have inspired millions of people worldwide. The list of inspiring people with autism would not be complete without mentioning Temple Grandin, professor of animal science and influential autism spokesperson. After being a mute for nearly half her life, Dr. Grandin was diagnosed with autism at a young age, and as a result had a speech therapist who helped her to learn how to speak thanks to her experience as a young child. As a result of finding her voice, she moved on to publish Emergence, labeled Autistic, a landmark book which has been hailed as one of the first real insights into the life and thinking of someone with autism, which is widely regarded as the first of its kind. It's no wonder, then, that Dr. Grandin is one of the most prolific writers and speakers, not just on the topic of autism, but also on animal behavior. She is a professor of animal science at Colorado University, where she's been hailed as the most accomplished and well-known adult with autism in the world. Among her achievements, Time magazine listed her as one of the world's 100 most influential people in 2010, and her story was made into a biographical movie starring Emmy Award winner Claire Danes as the main character. Many leading experts have retroactively diagnosed Mozart as showing signs of Tourette's and Asperger's. This is despite the fact that the first recorded case of autism would not have occurred until 2 centuries after Mozart's death. The repetitive movements and unusual facial expressions that the composer Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart displayed, along with his erratic moods, obsessive thoughts, and obsessive behaviors, indicate that Mozart may have been diagnosed as being on the autism spectrum during his lifetime. However, it did not hinder his progress or creativity in any way. Mozart is considered one of the greatest composers of all time, having composed over 600 pieces from childhood until his untimely death at age 35. These works are still regarded as the pinnacle of classical music excellence. You probably heard of Satoshi Tajiri, even if he's not our most famous inventor. Tajiri grew up collecting insects and playing Nintendo's Game Boy. Despite having Asperger's syndrome, later he combined the two into a new Game Boy release called Pokemon, a game in which gamers could battle opponents using unique fictional creators they collected. This game franchise would eventually include books, movies, merchandise, and more, and ultimately became the most successful media franchise in history. Tajiri has stated on multiple occasions that he lives with Asperger's, but he also says that he prefers to let his work speak for itself. Well, who could blame him, having built a franchise worth $15 billion? A poet of note, Emily Dickinson is regarded as one of the greatest of all time. Her epilepsy has drawn a lot of attention, but she likely had a diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder as well. According to Julie Brown's writer's book, Writers on the Spectrum, How Autism and Asperger's Syndrome Have Influenced Literary Writing, Dickinson's famously quirky behavior and characteristics can be attributed to the disorder. When national championship winning basketball player Anthony Lanny had PDD-NOS diagnosed, the doctors told his parents he would never achieve much. Those doctors predicted Lanny would barely finish high school, never graduate from college, and would certainly not become an athlete. Instead of accepting this prediction, the basketball fan used it as motivation to push himself even further. In 2000, he would become the first person with autism to win the NCAA national championship playing basketball for the Michigan Spartans. As a motivational speaker, Lanny inspires young people with autism not to let anything hold them back from achieving their dreams. Sir Anthony Hopkins, who starred in The Silence of the Lambs and many other classic movies, has spoken openly about his diagnosis of autism. As an individual on the spectrum, he has few friends and doesn't invite himself to parties despite really liking people. Even so, Sir Anthony is beloved by millions and one of his generation's most successful actors. The only person on today's list of highly successful people with autism who really needs no introduction is Einstein. His theory of relativity is well known to us all. We all know he came up with E=mc², dubbed the world's most famous equation. Many of us are even aware that he's widely regarded as one of, if not the most influential scientists of his or any generation. Many people are unaware that Einstein met many autism criteria, in the same way as Temple Grandin. He didn't speak until 3. In contrast to other children, he immediately began speaking in complete sentences. Additionally, many behavioral analysts today believe that Einstein would have been diagnosed with autism if he had been tested in his lifetime because of his rigid set routines and sameness. Danny Bowman has been inspiring others from a young age, unlike many others who waited until adulthood. At just 11 years old, Bowman founded her own company, Danimation Entertainment, and began working professionally in the animation industry 3 years later. As a passionate autism advocate and public speaker, she's very active in encouraging individuals with ASD and disabilities to follow their dreams and achieve their goals. He is as famous for painting soup cans as he is in his eccentricity, but Andy Warhol was never diagnosed with autism during his lifetime. The famous pop artists like Mozart and Einstein and several others displayed many symptoms of autism, many of which would typically be associated with autism. In addition to being socially awkward, Warhol also had a difficult time recognizing friends. Routine and uniformity were also extremely valuable to him. Warhol was one of the most iconic artists of his time, despite having Asperger's syndrome, according to many experts. In interviews, actress Daryl Hannah has discussed her diagnosis of Asperger's syndrome derailed her career. Hannah is best known for starring in 1980 blockbusters like Blade Runner, Wall Street, and Steel Magnolias. In the past, she's spoken about how she felt socially awkward and uncomfortable at premieres, and how her Asperger's caused her to be practically blacklisted from the movie industry. Despite her struggles, Hannah never gave up and continued to succeed. In addition to appearing in the critically acclaimed Kill Bill movies, she's appeared in a number of other popular films and theater shows. All these hugely successful people with autism show us that being on the autism spectrum doesn't have to be a barrier to success. They're changing the world as we know it, entertaining us in our favorite movies, books, and poems, or overcoming the odds to become champions in their field. It's been demonstrated by people like Albert Einstein and Daryl Hannah that no matter what obstacles stand in our way, we will always be able to overcome them. We'll achieve our dreams. No matter what our personal situation, we can certainly find inspiration in that, regardless of whether we're on the spectrum or not. And that wraps up our topic for today. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comment section down below. If you want to watch content related to this topic, make sure to check out our channel. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next video.